how it's possible to build a 92 overall theme team, Ravens theme team in particular. It was confusing to me at first as well. So I'm just going to do a video on exactly the players that I have at this point and take you through it, take you through the thought process, and hopefully it'll open your eyes to some things and it'll help you understand some things that I didn't understand it as well. Nobody sat down and told me exactly who to put where, but playing around with it saved a lot of money and effort, and hopefully I can save you some time just by simply watching the video. So the first thing you want to do is realize that to get a 50 out of 50 team, you don't need all of your players to be Ravens. You do not need all of your players to be Ravens. And another goal that we're going to reach today is we're going to hit 92 overall. So 50 out of 50 is tough enough, but getting a 92 overall is going to be extremely tough as well. But we're going to make both happen today. Watch it. All right, so the first thing you want to do, you want to go through and you want to get all of the Ravens that you can get, all of the top ranked Ravens, every last one of them. You want to get those players and you want to make sure that they are on your team. When new high rated Ravens players come out, that's a great day for you because you can add another high ranked player and you can move around and do some other stuff that you hadn't been able to do in the past. Okay, so with that in mind, wide receiver 1 is going to be a Raven, Steve Smith Sr. Now, a lot of people remember him with Carolina, but he also had a nice stint with Baltimore. So you want to make sure that he's your number 1 receiver if possible. Second is going to be just a good, dangerous wide receiver. And that'll be Mr. Calico. All right. Third receiver is going to be a free receiver, someone that I've noticed people have not been taking advantage of. All we have to do is grind on the game, and this player is free to us. It's a 91 overall without any chemistries, and that's going to be Andre Johnson. Fourth receiver is going to be an underrated player. This player is actually pretty good. He's actually pretty good. And fifth receiver, I have a tendency to put Mr. Marquise Brown. I never run 5 wide, so he can be there. He never gets in the game, but you need a Raven in that spot. You need a Raven in that spot. So just receivers alone, as of right now, I have 8 Ravens. Ravens alone, I have 8 Ravens right now, okay? Receivers alone, I have 8 Ravens. And I know you're like, well, how is that possible? This is how it's possible. Because this screen also matters. Your head coach, your stadium, your uniforms matter, okay? So be sure that you have Ravens there as well because it could actually help improve your team. So I have 8 Ravens in slots right now, just from that. And if you've been trying to build a theme team, you are also aware that you can only have 55 different players on your team. Only 55. So out of 55 players, you have to have 50 of them to be Ravens. That's tough. That's tough. But we can make it happen. At starting halfback, we have Barry Sanders. Now, I'm sure a lot of you all are aware that you can change Barry Sanders' team to whatever team you would like it to be, okay? Starting quarterback, if you watched the last video, you know that I switched over to Brett Favre. Out of necessity. Out of necessity. And backup is Lamar Jackson. Now, some of you all are also noticing that Andre Johnson's and Brett Favre's numbers are blue. How are their numbers blue and everybody else's are white? That's coming from their chemistries. They have chemistries that when linked together, they change and upgrade the player. So we have a tendency to put chemistries on every player. And I have a theory about chemistries as well. Juszczyk is also he was a Raven as well in the past. And the second string fullback, I put in Patrick Ricard. They're both Ravens. So with quarterback full, with fullback full, and with my starting halfback, as of right now, I have 12 Ravens. Let's go to the starting. Let's do all tight ends. We don't have to do starting tight ends. Let's do all tight ends. First, we have Mr. Darren Waller, who's an Oakland Raider, but he has Baltimore Raven ties. And then when I put him in, you notice that his number went blue. The current tight end is Mr. Mark Andrews. He's second string. His number went blue. If you notice, when their numbers go blue, they increase. Chemistries are important. I'm going to go in a little bit more in depth with that as well. And Mr. Nick Boyle is going to be our third tight end. So we have 3 tight ends that are all Raven theme team. Okay? Now, offensive line. This is where a lot of people, this is what costs a lot of teams. A lot of people feel like, well, it's just offensive line. I don't need to have good players on offensive line. Well, this is why you can't run the ball. Regardless of how good your running back is, if your offensive line is not strong or if they can't produce push, you have no chance of running the ball. So with that in mind, I always try to have the strongest offensive line as possible. This is the unit that I got away from the Ravens team the most, because I believe in being able to run the ball and having time to pass it and having adequate pass protection. So I put Walter Jones because he's the highest rated left tackle in the game. Same rationale went into me putting in Mr. Steve Hutchinson next to him. Same rationale went into me putting Kevin Mawai next to him. And, oh, okay. You bet me $10 that Biden votes for Trump on accident. And, okay. Right guard. I actually have 2 different ones here, but they do the same thing. Mr. Jari Evans and Larry Allen. So they're interchangeable. If you want power or you want agility, it's your choice. I put Jari Evans there. They're interchangeable. Whichever one you like, they'll be serviceable there. Also, right tackle is a Raven, Mr. Orlando Brown. So that's perfect for us. I put him there. I put Orlando Brown there. So out of 5 positions, 4 of them are non-Ravens, but I do have a Raven there. So that's beneficial. All right. Second string left tackle. All second string offensive linemen must be Ravens. They all must be Ravens. So I go and I find my second string left tackle. Mr. Ronnie Stanley. And as you can see, he's not very far off from potentially being a starter. So that's something to keep in mind with him. He's ranked pretty high. Left guard, Mr. Bozeman. Like, if it was required for me to put different players in, these players, I could start them. They actually don't have low overalls. At center would be, let me find my center here. Second string center. Mr. Ryan Jensen. And again, it's very beneficial to know the teams of these players that they played on before. Just because he had on a Buck uniform, he still could have Raven Kim if he played for the Ravens. At right guard, we have Mr. DJ Fluker. And at right tackle, Mr. Andre Smith. These are your safest positions in mud because they never see the field, but they add to Ravens' chem. They add to Ravens' chem. So right now, with majority of our offense done, we have 21 out of 25 Ravens. And let me show you why that's important. Just the players that have Ravens chem right now have a +1 in strength, +1 in agility, +1 in change of direction, +1, and I think that's interior blocking, +1 in jumping, +1 in acceleration, +1 in PRC, and +1 in carrying. So we are actually heading in the right direction. But if you see tier 5 here, and that's with 25 Ravens, we get a +1 in speed and a +1 in tackling. So yeah, you want that extra speed so you can actually start pulling off from people. Let's do the defense. Defense. Ravens are fortunate enough to have one of the nastiest secondaries on the game. Very nasty secondary. So I have a tendency to put Deion Sanders at starting corner, number 1. He was a Raven. Next, I have Mr. DRC, Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie. He's my second corner. He's not a Raven. However, he is somebody that I put in the game. He is someone that I put into the game. My third corner, this is where I say all of that talent comes in. Third corner, these are interchangeable. Actually, let me turn that around, and I'll show you why in just a second. I put Marcus Peters there, okay, because he's faster than Rod Woodson. I put him there, and my next one, I put my fourth cornerback. I put Rod Woodson. Now, cornerbacks are a little bit different than receivers. You actually put 4 corners on the field at once. 4 corners will be on the field, especially if you're running dime and you're running a lot of dome packages with your defensive secondary. You have to have good and adequate corners. Fifth corner, here's another Raven that we can put into the game, Mr. Marlon Humphrey. And again, all of these Ravens are going to help my Ravens theme team. Free safety, we have Eric Weddle starting with Raven Kim. Second string, we have former Legion of Boom member, Mr. Earl Thomas. Strong safety, out of Ravens theme is Mr. Taylor Mays. And as well, we have second string Mr. Chuck Clark. Now, Chuck Clark, I'm going to walk you all through Mr. Chuck Clark. Chuck Clark is nice on a Ravens theme team. He's actually someone that I used to allow to user when I used to have Honey Badger on the team. Chuck Clark is an upgrade. If you're running dime with one linebacker on the field, Chuck Clark could play that position and played it well. He was always coming up and getting tackles a lot better than Honey Badger. Honey Badger could get blocked because he was so slight. He was small. Chuck Clark was fast as well as strong enough to get tackles. Great player, especially for those who like to use her. Right outside linebacker, Dalius Thomas. He has a special card. He actually has 2 or 3 different Raven Kims because he's on the Madden theme team. Next right outside linebacker, we're going to put Mr. Pernell McPhee. Starting inside linebacker. He's the free one. This is the one that people have to grind to get. And there's a video previously that I created telling you how to actually get that 15 and 30 forced fumbles with him. It's a piece of cake. Go check it out. It's called, I think it's something like 15 forced fumbles, 30 forced fumbles, no problem. But it's a very easy technique to get those forced fumbles with Sam Mills. Also at middle linebacker, we will put Mr. C.J. Mosley as our starting middle linebacker. Next, third line middle linebacker, we'll put in Patrick Queen. Fourth linebacker, middle linebacker, we'll put L.J. Fort. Again, we're just going for Ravens at this point. As you know, you really don't even, most people don't even play linebackers that much, simply because they're liabilities when it's time to drop into coverage. And if you're blitzing or having linebackers on the field, you are at a defensive disadvantage if you have a linebacker on the field, because what ends up happening is they have to cover the slot a lot of times. And a lot of times people put their fastest receiver in slot for that very reason. You can't have a pass rushing linebacker trying to cover Odell Beckham Jr. He just can't do it, regardless of how fast they say he is. Left outside linebacker. Now I see that Ricky Jackson is here, and a lot of people would put him as their starting left outside linebacker. I don't do that. I have a tendency to do something a little bit different because Ricky Jackson is a power rusher, and I like to use the defensive line from time to time. So what I have a tendency to do, I put Elvis Dumerville here. And after Elvis Dumerville, I then put Mr. Zadarius Smith as his backup. If this was a downhill team, it would be scary. If all we had to worry about was playing downhill and not have to worry about anybody passing the ball, scary good. Scary good. All right, next player for right end, I'm going to put Calais Campbell, another player with Raven Kim. He's currently a Raven. And behind him, we're going to put Justin. I don't know his last name. I can't pronounce it. But he's a Raven, so it's important enough for me. All right. So defensive tackle, probably the most important player on the team, Mr. Leroy Glover. Second defensive tackle, Mr. Michael Pierce. Third defensive tackle, which is also important because if you ever run 5-man defensive front, they will put a third defensive tackle in the game. So if you put someone with an extremely low overall, there will be a defensive liability and they can run right there. Fourth defensive tackle, they don't put the fourth defensive tackle in. So that you're okay there. Mr. Justin Ellis. Now, remember earlier I told you that I was want to do something different with Ricky Jackson? This is the difference. I'm going to start Ricky Jackson at left end. I'm going to start him at left end. All right. And after that, I'm going to put Mr. Derek Wolfe behind him. Now, as you all can see, I'm pretty much almost done with my team. But if you look in the upper right-hand corner at this point, I only have 47 out of 55 Ravens. How am I going to get 50. Well, no, that's just positions. That's not even, I mean, that's just different players. I'm sorry, let me show you the different Ravens I have. Ravens right now, I have 47 out of 50. I have 3 other spots that I need to fill. And I just put Mark Ingram in the game as well. But I have 3 other spots that I need to fill before I can have my 50 out of 50. Let's go to special teams. Okay. Punter, Sam Cook. Give us 48. Kicker, Morton Anderson. Long snapper, really doesn't matter there. I could have put a Raven there, but you want your punt team to have legitimate people, because if you're punting, that means they stopped your offense. And if they stopped your offense, that means their defense is pretty stout. You don't want to have someone there that can just easily be run over. So at this moment, I have 48 Ravens. I have 48 Ravens. Okay? So, kick returner. Now, you have to make some adjustments here. You can't be the type of player that always tries to run it back with your kick return team, because your returner is going to be, you want to have an amazing returner. I'm going to put Steve Smith as both the kick and the punt returner. Okay, he's going to be amazing at that position. But we need to get 2 more Ravens in here. We need to get 2 more Ravens in here, because we have 48 out of 50, and we want that extra speed. So we need to get 2 more Ravens in here. These are the places where those 2 players can go. So the first place that they can go, you find a Raven that you have not inserted into the game yet. Okay? I could put Mr. Devin Duvernay. I could put him in the game. But let me check my chems first. I need to make sure that that'll be a wise decision. Okay, I do need another offensive player. I do need another offensive player, because if you can see, my offensive chem is 49 out of 50. And my defensive chem is 45 out of 50. So I won't hit my defensive chem. I won't max that out anyway. So I do need to put another offensive player in here. Okay. Yeah, we just put Mr. Dobbins in. I forgot to put Mr. Ingram in earlier. Mr. Mostert needs to come in. Okay. And second, last but not least, we need to put, where is my corner that I usually have a tendency to put here? Okay. Okay, I put in 3 different Ravens, and they only gave me credit for 1. I'm already at 50. Okay, sub linebacker. Okay, I do something a little bit differently here. When you have a maxed out Sam Mills is going to be as good as anybody else that you would put there. He's already a 90 speed just at base. So I put Sam Mills there. I have Sam Mills as the starting sub linebacker, and he's serviced very well. Next person I have a tendency to let back him up is Taylor Mays, because they both do what they need to do at that position. Rush left end, I put Mr. Ricky Jackson. Okay. Let me make sure that I have my players in here. Rush defensive tackle, Mr. Glover. Rush right end, Mr. Calais Campbell. Slot corner. It's very imperative that you read the top of the cards here. Different players specialize in different things. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie specializes in man-to-man. Dion specializes in man-to-man. Rob Woodson specializes in slot. So with that in mind, you let Rob Woodson play the slot. However, be very careful. Always go to your defensive adjustments and adjust the defensive secondary / cornerbacks according to speed. Because you don't want to have it where someone is a 91 speed trying to cover a 95 Steve Smith speed. Get burned every time. And even if they're faster, they still would get burned if you're not using them correctly. Okay? So another corner, have a tendency to put Tavon Young, because I'm trying to get this 50th Raven here, and they're not giving it to me. That's going to be my +2 in speed. My left end. My rush left end, I'm sorry. My defensive tackle here, it's going to be Michael Pierce. And rush right end, Sir Delius Thomas. Okay. All right, third down running back. Needs to be someone that can catch. Barry Sanders and Raheem Mostert, probably. Power back, what I have, Mr. Mark Ingram. And I have a tendency to back him up with Mostert as well. This is strictly to give Barry Sanders a spell. Let him get some rest. Slot wide receiver. Again, this is just like corner. If you have a receiver that you can put here that specializes in slot, you put him there. Steve Smith is deep threat. Calico is a deep threat. Andre Johnson's physical. Willie Snead is slot. So you put Willie Snead there. And the next slot receiver, I have a tendency to just put Steve Smith right there. So at this point, we're still at 49 out of 50 Ravens. Let me go and find another spot I could put a player in to make this adjustment. Okay. All spots are full here. And yeah, I have a tendency to just click on this to determine who is playing where. So if I was going to change anybody on my offense, I would have to change Walter Jones, Steve Hutchinson, Kevin Mawai, Jari Evans, Brett Favre, Tyrone Calico out to get my next Raven up. And let's see about my defense. On my defense, I only have 3 players that I could change out. That would be Ricky Jackson, Dominic Rogers, Cromartie, or Taylor Mays. Special teams, Sam Cook. Well, let me see if I put a Raven in long snapper. Would that make a difference? Something's off. Something's off. Okay. Let's see. And this actually happens too. This is realistic because it goes down like this for real in game. All right. So we have, let's count them up to be sure. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 players on offense that are Ravens. On defense, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. But remember, Adalius Tubbins gave us 3. That's 24. And Leroy Glover gave us +3. So that's going to be 26. So we should be a lot higher than we are. And kicker, well, special teams, we have Sam Cook. It's 47, 46, 47. And we didn't get credit for our special team players. That's what changed. We didn't get credit for our special teams players. And that hurts because we want that extra speed. We want that +1 speed. But right now they have us stuck at 49. So I know how to get it over. I know how to get it over. We want to go back to Lamar Jackson here. And we're going to put in RG3. And there you have it. 50 out of 50. So we have a 50 out of 50 Ravens team. Now, let me show you why that's important. 50 out of 50 Ravens team. If you look at the different numbers on these players, you all remember Steve Smith's stock card was a 91 speed. Now he's a 95 speed, 93 jumping, 96 catching, 95 short route running, 93 medium route running. Very important. Very important. Let me show you some other numbers that were adjusted. All of these blue numbers, all these players with blue numbers have been adjusted because of what we have here. Darren Waller, everybody was excited about him. I think his speed was like a 87 or something coming out. This man's speed now is a 91. 91 speed as a tight end. As a tight end, he's a 91 speed. That's faster than a lot of receivers. Barry Sanders. If you've played with Barry Sanders on the game before, you know Barry Sanders has a tendency to get caught from behind a lot. So with that in mind, Barry Sanders is now a 94 speed overall. Now a 94 speed overall simply because he's on the Ravens theme team. Defense. Now, a lot of us have a tendency to get burned by tight ends and all that good stuff. That's partially scheme, but a lot of it is also due to speed. Deion Sanders is now a 97 overall speed. 97 overall speed. Simply because of what he has. Simply because of the theme team as well as the chems. If at all possible, try to make all of your players the same in chemistry. If you can do that, that will help tremendously as well. All of them have advantages and disadvantages. They pretty much balance out. What you need to do, though, is figure out which one works best for your playing style. My third cornerback, Mr. Marcus Peters, runs a 95 speed. 95 speed. Now we're able to keep up with those teams that have Cooks, Tyreek Hill, Reggie Wayne, all those teams that are loaded at wide receiver. We now have the ability to keep up with them because of the chemistry in the Ravens theme team. My second cornerback, 95 speed. 95 speed. It matters what you do with your chemistries. It matters what you do with your chemistries. I can't stress that enough. You have to have your chemistries on point. If you don't, L's are coming your way. It's no way around that. It's no way around that. Okay? So, with that in mind, I have shown you how to build a 50 out of 50 Ravens theme team. And I'm just going to be perfectly honest with you. I'm going to find another player to substitute because I don't want to start Lamar Jackson. I actually want to start Brett Favre. So I'm going to find another player to substitute. But as of right now, this is a 50 out of 50 team that is also a 92 overall. So we're looking pretty good. We're looking pretty good. That's how you get it done. If you like other videos or tutorials in the future, I'll definitely be posting them. Thank you for your time and your attention. If you use it, give me a little credit for it. Don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video. Share the video. Share the video. Share the video with your friends and other people that may be interested in other Madden content. Trying to grow. It'll actually help me grow the channel a whole lot. So with that in mind, appreciate you. Thank you for your attention and have a good one.